Привет! Как дела? Today we'll continue talking about conjugation in Russian. I'd like to show you how you can easily guess about the right endings for multiple Russian verbs that end with at or yat. We already discussed the very basics of the Russian conjugation over here, so if you're not sure you're familiar with that topic, you might want to watch or re-watch that video first. The bottom line is that Russian verbs usually follow a certain pattern, which allows you to kind of predict how a new verb will conjugate. Another important point that we covered there is that you don't need to force yourself to memorize conjugation. The trick is that you can't fully control your memory. You can't dictate yourself how fast you can remember something. What you can control is your physical effort. So, to remember and automate conjugation in Russian, you first want to read your target verb, say 3 to 5 times, paying attention to the part that doesn't change, the stem, and especially to the part that does change, the endings. Then you want to close conjugation and then write it down with your own hand on a piece of paper by memory. Then open the conjugation again, check yourself if you have any mistakes, correct if any, and then do it again and again. Even at the point when you feel familiar with conjugating that one verb, continue doing it, because the more times you do that, the more automatic it becomes in your head. Add another verb and do the same thing. The beauty of this is that your mistakes don't matter at all. Only the physical effort counts. And the more you do this, you write conjugation of a verb on a piece of paper with your own hand without really overthinking it, the less you will have to think about the right ending when speaking Russian. This physical movement somehow creates a connection with your subconscious, with your long-term memory. You know how sometimes you write down a list of groceries and then just forget that list at home, but still remember most of what you have to buy, right? Even though you wrote it just once. And for this approach, for this exercise, you don't even need to be familiar with the Russian cursive. Just block letters will be more than enough. And to learn how to write Russian block letters, you can just follow me over here in this video. So today we'll focus on conjugating verbs that end with at or yat. Most of them follow a certain pattern, and the verb слушать will serve us as an example. Note that there are exceptions to this rule, and we'll look into them later too. But today we'll just focus on the main principle. So first of all, let's quickly recap the conjugation of the verb слушать, to listen. Слушать. Я слушаю. Ты слушаешь. Он слушает. Она слушает. Мы слушаем. Вы слушаете. Они слушают. First of all, notice that the endings for я and они sound very similar. The difference is just in one letter. Я слушаю. Они слушают. If we talk about Russian present tense conjugation, the endings for они would vary the most in comparison to the rest. Sometimes it is at, yat, and sometimes it is ut, yut, right? So, with the verbs that end with at or yat and follow this pattern, you do not even need to guess about the right ending for они. It will be very similar to я, with the difference of just one letter. Once again, Я слушаю. Они слушают. And that's the first principle you want to remember for conjugating Russian verbs that end with at or ять. Another sign for conjugating these verbs is that they have an unstressed ye in their endings, and you will be pronouncing it as e. You will find more details to this rule over here if needed. And the third principle actually ties into the previous one. There will always be two vowels in a row, and you can't reduce them to one. You have to pronounce both of them. Я слушаю, ю. Ты слушаешь, иш. Он слушает, ит. And so on. So now let's keep an eye on the conjugation of the verb слушать and apply those same principles to our new, very frequently used verbs. Работать, to work. To conjugate it, we have to get rid of the two last letters, to. They are for the infinitive form. And now let's attach our endings. Compare, please. Я слушаю, я работаю. Ты слушаешь, ты работаешь. Он слушает, он работает. Она слушает, она работает. Мы слушаем, мы работаем. Вы слушаете, вы работаете. Они слушают, они работают. Great! Now let's try to conjugate the phrase много работать, to work a lot. Я много работаю. Ты, right, много работаешь. Go on, please. Он. Right, много работает. Она много работает. Мы много работаем. Вы много работаете. Они много работают. Once again, я много работаю. Они много работают. Great job! Now let's try the verb играть, to play. Look, я слушаю, я играю. Ты слушаешь, ты играешь. Он слушает, он играет. Она слушает, она играет. Мы слушаем, мы играем. Вы слушаете, вы играете. Они слушают, они играют. I hope you get the idea. Now let's try to conjugate the phrase играть на гитаре, to play the guitar. Я играю на гитаре. Go on, please. Ты. Он. Она. Мы. Вы. Они. Awesome. Now the verb думать, to think. Let's conjugate it in the phrase думать о хорошем, to think positive, to think of good things. Я думаю о хорошем. Ты. Он. Она. Мы. Вы. Они. How do you say, I think that? Right. Я думаю, что. And do you remember the verb считать? It means to count, but you can also use it to say, I think that, like a synonym to я думаю, что. Я считаю, что. Как ты думаешь? What do you think? Как вы думаете? I don't think so. Я так не думаю. I think so. Я думаю, да. Just like that. Все понимать. To understand everything. Я все понимаю. Go on, please. Прекрасно. Now let's try the phrase to understand nothing. Ничего не понимать. The phrase I don't understand anything will sound in Russian as Я ничего не понимаю. Ничего means nothing. So we have two negations here. Ничего не понимаю. Don't understand nothing, literally. The negation particle не is almost never stressed in Russian. So you would always be pronouncing it as ни, just like as an extra syllable. Не понимаю. And also notice how in the word ничего we write g, but we pronounce it as v. Ничего. Я ничего не понимаю. Go on, please. And do you happen to remember how you say, I don't understand? Can you repeat, please? Я не понимаю. Можете повторить? Or я не понимаю. Можешь повторить? We had this and other similar phrases here in this lesson. Делать кофе. To make a coffee. Делать means both to do and to make. Я делаю кофе. Go on, please. Ничего не делать. To do nothing. What are you doing? I'm not doing anything. Что ты делаешь? Я ничего не делаю. Мечтать об отпуске. To dream of a vacation. Отпуск means a vacation in Russian. Мечтать об отпуске. Я мечтаю об отпуске. Great job! Let's move on. Быстро бегать. To run fast. Я быстро бегаю. Гулять в парке. To walk in a park. Гулять в парке. This verb ends with ять, and it will still follow the same pattern. Remember, the vowels a and ya belong to the same pair. They basically represent the same sound. Only a follows hard consonants and ya follows soft consonants. I'll leave the link to this lesson under the video. Гулять в парке. Я гуляю в парке. Читать книгу. To read a book. Я читаю книгу. Предпочитать пиццу. To prefer a pizza. This verb might seem difficult to read. But look, it consists of the verb читать and a little extra. Предпочитать. Предпочитать пиццу. Я предпочитаю пиццу. Go on, please. Perfect! You've just conjugated all these new verbs on your own. Please practice conjugating them on a piece of paper too. Don't skip it. The stress here doesn't jump anywhere, so that's good news. And you also want to learn to conjugate these new verbs in phrases. Not only it helps you to learn some extra words, but believe it or not, it will make it much easier to remember your target words as well. And it will make you feel much more confident when speaking Russian. So practice conjugating these verbs in phrases as a bundle. Give it a context. And I promise it will be a piece of cake for you to conjugate multiple other Russian verbs that end with at or yat. Try to conjugate these verbs on your own. Считать, обожать, знать. I'm sure you can do this. До скорого!